Another Cleveland Browns player down for the count after being added to the COVID-19 list, causing yet more trouble for the big game on Monday. But we do have some good news. Good evening, I'm Lena Lai. Let's get right to it. Nick Camino joins us now to break down the latest with the Browns. And Nick, we need an update from you every 5 minutes.
I know, that's exactly what it feels like, right, Lena? I mean, this has been quite the week for the Cleveland Browns. Let's think about this. If the NFL had not moved the game, as it was supposed to be played today at 4:30, they'd be approaching about halftime right now against the Raiders. But we know the game was moved, and now there is a little bit more good news for the Browns. The NFL is making some more changes, and I think that this could definitely help out the Browns. Earlier today, the NFL informed the Browns and Raiders that they will have until 2 o'clock on Monday to make transactions and set their rosters for their rescheduled game. That's only 3 hours before kickoff. Normally, rosters have to be set about 24 hours before kickoff. So with everything the Browns have going on with the COVID outbreak, this is obviously good news. In other words, the Browns still have about, 42 hours or so for guys like Baker Mayfield to test out of the revamped COVID protocols. So not only has the game been moved, this gives them a chance to get some guys back. All right, Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski, he met with the media today on a Zoom call to discuss some of these changes.
The guys that are on the COVID list in terms of them testing out and those type of things, we really don't have any control over that. I don't think anybody knows. So that's the uncertainty of these situations. And I think our players embrace the uncertainty. They embrace the challenge of this all.
There's a chance that Kevin Stefanski could be back. Now, it's all not great news for the Browns, but James Hudson ended up on the COVID-19 reserve list, and we've got other updates for you coming up in sports. But again, it does feel like there are chances now, not only the game being moved, but this new change implemented by the NFL. There is a chance the Browns could get some more players back.
Okay, we'll keep following it all. We'll see you with more coming up in sports. And developing now from the NFL in what looks like a direct reaction to what the Browns and a couple of other teams are facing this week, the league is making a major change to COVID protocols. Will Yoak joins us now to explain. Will.
Yeah, Lena, the significant uptick in positive COVID cases around the NFL has led to this testing procedure announced earlier today that will be in effect for the remainder of the season. So in short, under the new policy, fully vaccinated and asymptomatic players will not be tested unless they request one or have had a high-risk contact, what the league is referring to as target testing. Previously, as we saw firsthand with the Browns, there was weekly testing of vaccinated players, symptoms or not. Now, unvaccinated individuals will continue to be tested daily, and higher-risk players have until 2 p.m. Monday to send written notices if they choose to opt out. Now, I spoke with a doctor at the Cleveland Clinic today who says he really doesn't see a problem with this change. It's much like how he would treat vaccinated asymptomatic patients. However, the one problem he sees going forward, not just in sports, but everywhere, is the definition of fully vaccinated.
Players who are not boosted are going to be at higher risk of spreading Omicron variant far quicker throughout mostly vaccinated teams than prior variants. And I think that's probably why we're seeing this weird last week or so in the sports world, and especially here with the Browns. And I think it centers around where that definition. So fully immune now really should mean 2 shots and a booster, especially for people with normal immune system.
So this change to the NFL policy comes after more than 100 players tested positive in the past week, with nearly all of them vaccinated and most with little to no symptoms. We'll dive a little more into this protocol shift coming up at 11, Lena.
Right, and how it impacts the Browns because it affects them on Sunday, but the Browns are all being tested right now because they're in the middle of an outbreak.
Yeah, they had the weekly testing, symptoms or not. That's going to shift, but that's going to be going forward. So now the question really relies on when will they get a negative test, and the doctor did talk a little bit about that. It depends on when they received that positive. Was it 5 days into COVID? Was it the first day of COVID? So I'm sure Nick will keep us updated on that here coming up at 11 as well.
All right, looking forward to hearing more of that. Thanks, Will.